Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Spiritual Journey podcast. We're on episode 140. Always love by saying thank you. Feel so blessed with this podcast, all the messages, the impact it has on all our listeners. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Really, the objective of the podcast is to simplify spirituality and to guide people on their spiritual journey. I'm excited about this week's episode. I have my beautiful friend with me who's gonna talk about her journey, and it's Nicole. And I just learned before we started recording, it's actually Nicole's birthday today on the day we're recording. So I have to start by wishing Nicole a happy birthday. And Nicole, I'd love for you to introduce yourself.
Oh, thank you, Nims. Yes, it is my birthday. That was a surprise for you.
It was,
So,
but hey, let's make it for our audience too, right?
so thank you, Nims. My name's Nicole. Many people know me as Nicole Loving Earth, and I am here as a writer. I teach. I practice energy healing. I teach meditation, spirituality, and how to connect to consciousness. I love, I'm so passionate about what I do. I really am. And I merely see myself as a guide, guiding you back to you. So, for whatever it is that you're wanting more of in your life, whether it's love, calm, peace, tranquility, bliss, joy, fun, play, that's what I see myself as, a guide to these kind of energies. So I'm really excited to record this podcast too. I know we're going to go deep. I know that no question is too big or scary for me. So thank you, Nims, and thank you everybody for listening, and thank you for having me on the podcast. So yeah, let's get
Um,
going. Oh, and for everybody listening at home,
and for those that don't Nicole, that's kind of how she normally kind of starts and finishes things. And yeah, you don't want me trying that, Nicole. So it's but hi everybody, I'm Nims. I'm a spiritual coach, mentor, podcast host, podcast creator, as well as an Akashic record reader and Akashic trainer. And I just love the energy that we're in. I really feel like it's a beautiful time to guide people to shine their light. And that's what I get to do. And yeah, I'm excited about this episode. I met Nicole, oh, I don't even know how long, but she's another friend that I met on Clubhouse
3 years,
three
3 years.
years. And I've seen her grow and change so much over that time. And she's a really good example of somebody who has been working so hard on herself. So I'm excited about this episode. I'm excited about what's coming up. Um, and really the conversation is going to be around how to live consciously, how to live in freedom, kind of when you let go of the programming and you truly connect to who you are, and you live in awareness, you live consciously. And it doesn't mean that we don't have challenges along the way, but we don't let those challenges kind of consume us. And we because so much is happening on the planet, and it just feels like there's so much energy around and everybody's feeling so much stress. And when you can just breathe and just be aware that everything is happening to you, serving you in some kind of way, you start to feel differently. And I really, Nicole's a great example of somebody I've seen, you know, do the work. And I've seen her in terms of what she wanted, and I know what she's manifesting right now. So Nicole, I'd love for you to talk a little bit about your journey, and kind of give you insight in terms of what living consciously means to you.
Mm, thanks, Nims. Oh, I had my eyes closed while you were speaking then, and I feel like that message is for all of us, you know? Um, I feel myself getting emotional just even reflecting on my own journey. And I know that many would not choose the path that I've chosen. And I don't say that from a place of ego. It's not that I had, more opportunity to choose this path rather than an easier path. If anything, I chose the hardest way. But the effort equaled the reward and so much more. When people say, you must walk through the fire, I basically lit everything I knew on fire. So to give some context here, rather than talking in, abbreviations or some kind of mystical way, I sold, gave away, and left behind everything that defined me. So let go of my apartment, let go of my van, let go of all my furniture, my plants, my pet, let go of everything, my family, my friends, and moved to Mexico, November 2021. I was in Mexico for 7 months, and then ended up being in America or the States for another 3 months before I came back to Australia. And it was absolutely like a glorious time, but it was also one of the hardest periods of my life, because I didn't know what the next step was going to be at any stage during that journey or during the actual physical trip. But also, it was the first time in my life that I'd given myself time to really look at who I was, what I wanted to create. And I didn't even know what I wanted to create. I just knew I had this bigger life waiting for me. So, how I would kind of explain that is, throughout my life, I had this feeling of agitation. So, it wasn't frustration. I always felt that I was intuitive, and I talk about this in my book, which I know we're going to go into. But I had this underlying fine veil of agitation throughout my teenage years, my 20s, my 30s, of not living the life that I was supposed to be living, that my life was supposed to be so much bigger than what it was, right? And I felt like if I was to speak of it or mention it to someone, people would think I was frivolous or being egotistical or being fantastical, or, having this kind of like fantasy that, oh yeah, everyone thinks they're supposed to be big. And then I finally, through the process of my journey and my healing and stepping into every new layer and looking at myself and creating teachings around it, every time I'd go into the depths of myself, I'd have this little voice in my head saying, this will become a teaching, keep going, this will be a teaching. We
Yeah.
promise. Like, so I was always looking at what I was going through and being in it, but then having this part of me that was observing how I was going through it, to create a teaching around it, or to create a lesson around it, or to create a writing around it, or some kind of story around it. So I feel like I couldn't even put my finger on it when, and maybe you might, Nims, because you've known so much of my journey too, but that agitation is no longer there. And it's not to say I'm this big, huge monolith of a spiritual teacher or advisor or guide yet,
I
but
love it.
but that agitation is no longer there. I am living that life, and I'm getting this huge rush of energy through me right now because I'm actually verbalizing it. I am living the life that I'm supposed to be living. I am living this big life. I'm living this less than ordinary life now. So I'm very, very thankful to so many people, including yourself, in the physical realm. I'm also very, very thankful for all of the guidance that I've had within the spiritual realm, because a lot of the things that come out of me now are in line with scientific studies and I've never studied, are in line with new ways of thinking that are coming through from doctors, neurosurgeons, and things like that. I've never stepped foot in a university. And so there is truth to what I do. And my belief in myself, my love for myself, my love for my path is unbreakable, unshakable. So if you're coming into my energy, I welcome you. It is for you, it's unconditional. And yeah, I'm just so, sorry for swearing, so fucking thankful and so proud of myself.
Right.
So yeah.
No apologies for the swearing. It's all good. It's interesting. I mean, so I really believe that as healers, sometimes as healers, mentors, teachers, sometimes we need to go through things deeper than others, and it allows us to teach and guide others. And that's not an ego thing. That is just Sometimes you need people to chop down the trees so you create a path for others to follow, right? And it's also it's always also interesting when you start to realize and accept the journey that your soul chose. I'm sure there's so many people that can listening now feel like they don't belong, feel like they wish they could just leave everything behind and start again. It's like, because energetically the last few months have been intense, and so many people I talk to are going through some sort of reset, some sort of rebirth, and the things that used to excite them don't excite them anymore. And it's like sometimes
Mm.
you do what Nicole does and just pack everything and move to Mexico and just is a calling, right? And sometimes you do other things, but it's just what would your advice be to those anyone that's listening that's feeling uncomfortable with where they're at on the path?
Mm. I remember some of my darkest times or some of my biggest breakthroughs. You've been there, you've witnessed them. And the only thing you used to say to me was, "Your soul chose this," like it was some kind of comfort.
I do say that a
And
lot, and I do realize that it's like sometimes that helps, and sometimes it's like you want to just swear and say, "Really?" Um, but yeah, it is what it is.
yeah,
Sometimes I recommend we need to have a serious conversation with our soul. What were you
yes.
fucking thinking? But that's okay.
Yeah, how much more can my body physically
Yeah.
go through? And just before I start, I just want to say I apologize. I am a little bit sick at the moment, so if I sniffle or things like that throughout the podcast, excuse me. Okay, so for those that are feeling like, why is there so much in my world that does not feel the same as what it used to? An awakening can happen like momentarily, like in a moment. It can happen over a period of time. And one of the first subtle shifts is the change in your vibration, right? And so I want to say this, I want to be really clear with this. Up leveling or changing, a change in your vibration is not so much hierarchy. It's not that all of a sudden you're better than others, okay? This is simply, you can imagine it more like a radio station. So what you were tuned into before, that's what felt clear, right? The same people, the same relationships, the same conversations, the same activities, the same music that you've always listened to. This feels clear. When something feels clear, that's when you're in alignment. So all of a sudden, your vibration or frequency changes, and so your radio station has changed. And so what you were attracted to before, food, diet, sleep patterns, perhaps it's like vices that you had, like alcohol or coffee, or activities, friendships, relationships, music. Music is a big indicator. I would definitely say too, if there is music that you used to love listening to and all of a sudden it just doesn't feel right, your vibration has changed, full stop. And so maybe you become more sensitive to light, more sensitive to sound, more sensitive to energy, right? So this is, your radio station has changed. And so what it is at that point is like, when you're thinking, okay, this relationship doesn't feel right to me, it's nothing that the other person or that thing has done. It's you. And so feel, or my invitation would be to be really curious about it and start looking at different things. Perhaps you're like, I love sunrise, and anyone that follows me on Instagram knows that, they come to my page to watch sunrise with me.
So do I.
So yeah, I know Nims is a big advocate for my sunrises. So I'm on the east coast of Australia, everybody. So if that's confusing to you, the sun rises over the ocean where I am every morning. And so it's like what you're drawn to. Maybe there's a change in your diet. Maybe you feel like you don't want to eat meat anymore. Maybe you feel like you want to spend more time by yourself. Maybe you want to say no to social obligations. Honor that, okay? And be really curious. So with the spiritual path, and I'm going to finish on this point because I know I could spend all day here. With the spiritual path, or with any path, you don't even have to call it a spiritual path, with a path of conscious awakening, be in the energy of the curious, playful child, okay? A journey of discovery. You're discovering new parts of yourself. Maybe you're wanting to sit in nature. Maybe you're wanting to go dive into the water every day. Maybe you're wanting to try new things like meditation or frequency music or, a new activity, or all of a sudden you have a creative hit to write or to play or to create art or, listen to music or dance. Like, follow that. Just follow that childlike wonder, curiosity, and play, because that is what will lead you through more easily. I feel if you're in the energy of the child,
Easily.
the path becomes easy. It does. I truly believe that. Yeah, we
It's
can overthink things.
yeah, it's true, and it's acceptance is such a big part of this healing journey. Is that I love the way you describe it as a child, because the way I think about my journey is I'm a student, which means that I'm
Hmm.
always going to be learning. It means if something happens to me, I become curious. Well, hold on, why did this happen? What is my here to? Because then it switches you from victim mode. Because when you're in victim mode, this question, things like this always happens to me, or doesn't serve you.
Hmm.
Hey, when you become inquisitive and you become a student, then things start to look different. And the way that you describe, your radio station changing, I love that way in terms of describing what a rebirth looks like, because nothing feels the same. But what we do sometimes is we try and hold on to our old self. We try and look for that radio station, right? We try and like, and that could mean that we hold on to friends and people that are no longer so we try and keep it in the same
Mm.
food, even though it doesn't resonate with us anymore, and even listen to the same music. And it's that it's just being open to different things, and being okay
Yeah.
with it, because you know the only constant in life is change, which is really interesting because as humans we resist change, right? It's
Yeah. And I think the two things that were coming up is like the caveats is like be comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? I love exactly what you said, curious. Whenever something comes up for me, I'm like, ooh, this is going to be juicy.
just that's it. Why can't you get excited, right? When you
Yeah,
can
and be
feel that
excited by the
uncomfortable.
unknown. Be
Yeah,
excited. Like, if you can switch your fear or your anxiety about the unknown to excitement. So I feel like I see a lot of things as pendulums, and I see anxiety or nervousness as the other side of the pendulum to excitement, because both of them are invested in the outcome. So when you have anxiety about something, right? I feel like that is risen, or you're nervous about something is because it's risen because you're invested in the outcome. So can you not be excited about that? Oh, I wonder how this is going to play out. I wonder what's going to open up here for me. I wonder what this is going to
yeah.
look like. I'm excited. Yeah.
It is that wonder, right? But it's also really trying to let go of our expectations. Because it is
Mm-hmm.
when we have those expectations of, we want wonder, but also we want to know what's coming next. It doesn't work that way. I mean, it's like if anybody, if you look at the last few years, just really, I mean, I talk about this quite a lot, but just how much control have you really had? Really, realistically, it's just, the more that you can move out your own way, and trust in whatever's coming next. And it is a trustful. And I really do feel like the energy we're in right now, everybody's going through something, and it is a trustful. And no one
Mm-hmm.
person is any less or more important than anybody else. Everybody's journey is important. So wherever you are is perfect for you. And the other thing I'm really conscious
Mm-hmm.
of is, when we talk on this podcast, suppose we make it sound easy. And yeah, exactly. It's like I think spirituality is not as complicated as we make it. But
Mm.
whatever we've chosen in this lifetime isn't meant to be easy, right? We've chosen an expansive journey, and it's because the generation we're in right now is releasing a lot of karma, right? That's what we've chosen to do. And
Yeah.
so if you've been going as a listener, if you've been going through a tough time, why do you consider, as Nicole was saying, well, what if you're meant to, whatever you're going through, you're meant to go through it for your soul's expansion. But what if whatever you're going through, you can use it to guide other people?
Yeah. And I feel too, like, I don't want us to like scare anybody here. So I feel like the spiritual path, I'm kind of being shown a lot of things here, so I'm trying to distill it down into one clear sentence. It's kind of like it can be easy and hard. Some parts of the path are absolutely joyous and like bring you to tears from the sheer love and bliss. And whenever you're faced with something that is tough, there's always like the easy and the hard, right? The path splits into easy and hard. You can take the easy route and maybe it will take you longer and maybe it will be softer, or taking the hard road, it doesn't become more hard the deeper that you go. Let's say that, okay? Because the only thing on your spiritual journey that you need to know is you. Full stop. That's you, right? Others may have advice, guidance, others may have ways that they healed, but it is up to you to understand your practice. So I'm kind of like being shown this one example. I've been through a lot of my trauma again recently, and like a lot of it's written about in the book, and it's not because I'm playing the victim. I'm showing this is what I had, this is how I went through it, and this is what I moved through, and this is how I am now, right? And so when I would go through something, say 2 years ago, I would have an emotion, a feeling, a memory come up, something I was moving through come up. It would sideline me for a week or two. Like I wouldn't be able to function properly. Everything would be seen through that lens. I would, it would just take this like really long time. And then I would have this recovery period. And then I would feel good again. And then the next thing would come up. And so now it's like that processing time has like shortened to like an hour. So and the stuff that comes up now is like the roots, like the deep stuff, not just the leaves that are dropping like gently off a branch, and I would take weeks to go through it. It's like now we're excavating the deepest parts, and it's like straight away I'm like checking in with my body. How does this make me feel? What do I want to do here? I might move, I might shake my arms, I might like go outside and stand in the sun, and it's like clearing within moments. So know that the more courage you have to face yourself in the moment, ask your body what it is you need to move through it. Maybe it's writing, maybe it's movement, maybe it's screaming into a pillow, maybe it's jumping in the bath. And then it's kind of like understanding your process. Understanding your process allows your processing time to speed up. So yeah, now it's like I could have breakfast, go through something, and be out the door to meet a friend for coffee like an hour later and be fine and clear. And she'll be like, "Oh my God, you're glowing," right? That's the biggest change. Your processing time speeds up. You don't have any fear or hesitation about facing what comes up for you. You're curious, and yeah, you're kind of like, oh, that's done. Great. Okay, next, you know? So
And
the
that does
space in
require work,
between,
right? Yeah. I mean, that does
yeah,
require work, right? This is, and there's a couple of things I always think about is one is we'll never be given anything we can't handle. And I get when I say that, and I'm sure people like, I've been through some really tough times, are you sure that's true? And it's like, well, one, remind you that you got through it. And if you're going through something difficult, you will get through it, right? Um, and two, when you're going through those dark times, you probably do feel like you're really alone. But it's actually
mm,
those times when, if you can tap into your energy and your vibration, your guides around you, and also know that your answers are inside you. So check in with, how is it serving me? But also, as Nicole says, check in with your body. Where are you feeling the pain? Where you feel the anxiety? What is it you're going through, and how is it serving you? And when you start looking inside, you start to find different answers, right? It's when you're looking outside to be fixed, that's when you kind of hit the roadblocks because you're not meant to look outside, right? No one else, even as mentors, I can guide people on my intuition, but ultimately I'm guiding them based on the energy of what I feel and the vibration of the person I'm working with. Hey, your answer
exactly.
inside you, not in me. What do I know,
Hmm.
right? I'm on a different journey, but ultimately, your energy, your vibration gives so many clues, and that's like so. this journey isn't meant to be easy, I guess is the point.
Mm,
But it is, I always love the phrase that, pain is inevitable, suffering is optional, because what that means is
mhm,
you're meant to go through painful things, right? You're meant to, but ultimately healing them and getting through them is part of your journey. So, think back to our listeners, think back to your most painful times. You got through it, and ask yourself,
yeah.
what did you learn from those times? Because I'm sure you'll find your biggest expansion also came with your biggest pain. And just that, knowing that you got through it again, and even everything you've been through the last 3 months, you got through it. Take time to
Mm,
be proud, right? And Nicole, I'd love to hear more about your story. I know, I have some insights, but I'd love for you to share with our listeners. Just like what some examples where you feel that might help people to, uh,
mm,
realize that there is light at the end of the tunnel.
yeah. Oh, most definitely. And I love what you just shared there, Nims, too, because I feel like this kind of work that we do is incredible. And I know that I am my number one client,
Hmm.
right? Exactly like what you said. And what was coming up for me as what you were saying, and this may not be so good for our business,
Hmm.
but but what I saw is like for everybody that's listening, check in honestly with yourself right now. Honestly, okay? And just have memories come up of every time you've gone through something. How many people have you reached out with to, and I'm putting my both hands up here because I know I've done this in the past. It's like, how many people do you reach out with to tell of this situation, to ask for help? How many people do you share something that you're going through, or reach out to say, oh, can we have a call or something like that, right? I know I've done it in the past. I'm putting my hands up. Now, Nims and I have had almost radio silence between us for the past 6 months. I don't see this as a bad thing because it means we're both good.
But it also means that we know we're there if we need it. We're on the end of the phone,
Yes,
but
exactly.
we can still pick the phone up after
Exactly.
6 months and have a great conversation.
Exactly. We pick up exactly where we left off, right? There's an understanding that he's in my team, I'm in his team forever. That's it, full stop. There's no barrier between us. And so what I found is I would ask myself if I was going through something, is this something I need to reach out to someone about? Or is this something I'm not willing to face on my own? Right? And so when I started doing that, it almost gave all of my power back to me because, like what you were saying before, there's no distortion from someone else's idea or energy coming into my field. There's no advice that I'm going to listen to and maybe take and it maybe not be the right advice. It's not what I'm going through someone else's lens, okay? Because they can give their opinion or guidance, but they're giving it to me through their own lens of their idea of who I am or what I'm going through or the other party. So I know that we've all had conversations with people where we've said, yeah, but you don't understand. Stop that. Stop it. If you are pausing before you instinctively or unconsciously reach out to someone else about what you're going through, you're giving that trust and belief in yourself back to you. Because rather than trusting or believing in someone else who is greater than you. Okay. So that may not be so great for our business. But I feel
It's also, yeah, it's also, look, when we're going through an upgrade or we're going through something major, the universe does clear our path.
exactly.
It clears our path of the people that are no longer meant to be there, right? And it's okay. It doesn't mean the person, whoever, may not come back, but it's like
Yeah.
the way I look at it is, it's like we're in a cocoon, we're a gooey mess. So our energy,
Yeah.
our vibration needs to be protected, and until we turn into the butterfly, then.
Yeah.
But it's okay to ask for help, but check in with your intention. If your intention is to be fixed, then,
Mm-hmm.
and you've always got help with your guides, right? You've always got help on the spiritual side.
So if that's what you need help with, like connecting with your guides, this is when you reach out to us. If it's understanding the layers of consciousness or how do I read or see this or how do I connect, contact us. This is what you need. Like if you're just wanting someone to help you open the door, perfect. Okay. So I know like we both love this work. This is like the fun stuff for us. The
100%.
admin stuff, yeah, I want someone
Yeah.
else to do my admin.
Yeah. So do I. So
Give
do
me like
I.
3 hours a day consciousness and I'll be sweet.
Yeah,
Okay,
perfect.
so I'm asking, so okay, perfect example right now. I'm asking, okay, the first thing they say is one of the sentences that has carried me through the darkest moments of my life, has carried me through the past few years, that in the darkest moments and I didn't know what was going to happen and I didn't know where I was going to go or if any relationship was going to be rebuilt for me, it was always allow God to be God. Allow God to be God. Just wait, just watch and see. Okay. So that comes back to trust. That comes back to you don't have to see the overall plan. It's just one foot in front of the other. I'm asking now my spirit team or my guides or creator, what is it from the book that I can share right now that is going to help the people listening to this podcast? If you are searching for freedom, freedom is found within. And I know Nims has talked about this. Freedom is found within. For when we trust ourselves more than any others, this is not about putting yourself on a pedestal. This is about trusting and believing in who you are in your light. Okay. The book itself is like this. It's like, if you see my hands, it's like undulating up and down. Okay. It is like a roller coaster in some parts, but I feel like the greatest lessons for me or the greatest healing came after I returned from my trip. It's one thing to face all of your healing and when you're outside of your comfort zone, when you don't have the stigma or dogma of the people that you've grown up with around you, surrounding you. You know, when you're in a new city, a new town, a new country, and you're going into deep healing work, this is great. But the integration happens is when you come back into your inverted commas regular day-to-day life or town or city or whatever. And so most definitely Nims knows a lot of this story too about when I came back, and everything happens in its own timing. So anytime that I tried to force or push or make something happen quicker, it didn't work. I had to completely let go. And the greatest tool I think my whole journey up until now has been is giving all ownership, all permission, all energy of mine back to me. Like that's it, full stop. So we can unknowingly, unconsciously hand over our power, our love, our energy, like our thoughts, our desires, our wishes to a plethora of people without knowing about it. And so the whole journey and everything that I go through and all the teaching that's in the book and all the story that's in the book, what it came down to is me knowing and loving every part of me knowing and loving my heart and its capacity for love, me being just at peace and finally feeling free. So yeah,
Wow.
I'm so
Wow.
excited for everyone to read it. I'm
No,
so
that's
excited.
beautiful. I love it. You know, if I compare your energy from 2 years ago, and I just at the time you were questioning everything, right? You were questioning the love in your life, your connection with your daughters. There was like there's so much that was up in the air, and just to hear you talk now is just you're a different person. That's like really
I'm me now.
yeah, and it's just
That's
it's because you processed, right? You've healed, so I mean, is there an example of what you can, like a personal example of what you've been through in your life that, so if somebody's feeling like they have no hope right now and something that you've been through that maybe could, people can relate to.
mm, yeah, for sure. Oh, this is gonna be big names. I don't want to give too much away, but what they're showing me is like, if you're in a space to do so, just close your eyes. Imagine your soul coming into your human form. In utero, that light, that golden, white scented light, it is your soul coming into consciousness, your consciousness being awakened within. Okay. And when you are birthed into this world and birthed into this family and birthed into this experience, each of your experiences creates this layer around you, right? Your soul is still in there. It's always been in there. And so good, bad, otherwise, you know, these layers upon layers are placed upon you. And maybe you feel like you have so many layers upon you, different relationships, different experiences, different places you've lived, different connections in your family, these layers and layers and layers. And so the process of this book for me was peeling off each one of those layers and coming back to my soul's true essence. So when you say, like, you've completely changed, I've literally come back to my pure soul expression, unapologetically, without the need to prove anything to anyone, without the need to be anything other than love for anything that has happened in my life. So that is like a simple way of seeing your healing journey, that every time you step through something, you're literally taking one of these layers off, and your finish line or your point of conception. And this is what I would call a rebirth. We can go through many rebirths, but when you come to that final layer of your soul, you cannot see yourself as anything other than the most exquisite and magnificent thing to ever be here. And it's not for anyone else to see you that way. The most important thing is that you see yourself that way. And so, like, that, the layers that I've had to peel off, I wouldn't wish upon anyone. I'm talking, and I don't want to step too far from the soul, but they're saying
Go
it's
for it.
okay. It's
Yeah,
okay.
go for it.
But it's like hardship, abuse, verbal abuse, sexual abuse, childhood abuse, being taken advantage of by people very close to me. So financial abuse, a lot of times where I acted and responded from my wounding. And I take ownership of all of that in the book. So it's, for me, my story, a lot of people are going to resonate with because of shared experience, full stop, in different layers. I'm not here
People
saying I've
relate.
gone through the worst at all. No, I'm not saying I've gone through the worst of it all. That's not a competition I would ever want to win.
Yeah.
And so I will never, ever, 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 ever again use my trauma or my past experiences as an excuse for behavior, which is something that I feel victims do. Okay. And I'm not saying victims in a negative way. When you're unconscious that you're acting from victim, anything that has happened to you is an excuse for bad behavior, you know? And I don't even have anything within me. I feel like my experiences, and that's how I refer to my trauma, is my experiences. I feel like my experiences have created who I am now. And even as recently as a couple of weeks ago, I had the thought of like, and this may trigger people, I had the thought of like, who would I be? Who would Nicole be if I had a safe, loving, beautiful family growing up? Right, where my mother and father loved each other unconditionally, they had a healthy bond, they were kind and loving towards each other. How different would I be? Maybe I would be who I am now at the age of 17, right? maybe I would live this peaceful, carefree existence happily, in the woods somewhere. Or maybe I would never become who I am now. So that's the key here, is like when you say your soul chose this, if my soul chose this to have this experience at the age of 47, today's 47, and I want to tell you what happened when I woke up this morning too, because you'll love
Okay.
this. Okay. What my guides on my spirit team had as a surprise for me this morning. It's gonna make me cry if I think about it. Oh God. Okay, so if I had to have all of these experiences to have the feeling that I have now about myself, it was all fucking worth it,
And that's
you
the
know? And
key.
that's what my intention is that everyone feels that.
Yeah.
Everyone feels this experience.
And that's the
Yeah.
key. It's like, look, this space is no judgment, right? So
Hmm.
if for whatever reason you have been feeling traumatic and maybe you've been sharing how you've been feeling and the rest of it, but you get to choose after this conversation if you're going to be different. So we're not asking
Hmm.
you to go back and change anything. What we're asking you is really whatever you're going through, stop and ask, well, hold on. Well, how is this serving me? What do I need to
Hmm.
release and what do I need to let go? And because I remember a conversation I had with a client today, and he got, and I'm not obviously sharing too much, but he got at the realization that actually, even as a soul, he picked parents that are have narcissistic tendencies. He realized
Yeah.
he wouldn't be the person he was today if he hadn't gone through what he'd gone through. And
Yeah.
there was just a feeling of release, right? There was a feeling of not holding on to that anymore because sometimes you do question it, right? So, well, hold on. Why couldn't I have loving parents? Why couldn't I have had, experiences that this person's having? Because comparison is really, if we can remember that we're a soul having a unique experience, which means that no one's going through the same thing. See, if you're looking for somebody to totally understand you, people can empathize with you, but they're not going to totally understand you because they haven't had
No.
your experience. And, the way that you described it earlier, for me, it's like being really present. And if I think of, when we're born into this realm, into this planet, we're babies, we cry, we get attention. We're really being present. There's no programming. And it's
Yeah.
like, really, I feel like we're trying to go full cycle. We're trying to
Yeah.
get to a place where we're just present. We're
Yeah.
present in the moment, and then whatever's happening in the moment is where we're at. We can't change
Hmm.
the last moment. We can't change the next moment. All we can do is focus on this moment. That's what babies, when they're born, that's what they do. They cry, they get attention. They're living in the moment. So,
Yeah.
and Nicole, I love the way you share things, and I just love how far you've come. I mean, it's like, I'd love for you to share more about your book. Go on.
Thank you.
Oh no, it's about this
Yeah.
morning. Tell me about this morning first.
Okay, okay, hang on first, but I just want to add into something that you were just
Sure.
sharing there too. And this is in the book. So, and this is part of what I went through. So like when you were talking about your client and things like that, and yes, your soul chose these experiences. Know, and this I go into deeper within the book. Know that every experience that you've ever had, conversation, interaction, trauma, it is absolutely your choice what energy you attach to it. It is your choice if you attach any energy to it.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, like, if you look at something in your past or a memory with sadness, grief, can you bring that back to love? Can you shower that emotion, can you shower that energy with love? Right. And so, knowing that, oh, it's my choice what emotion I attach to a memory, a circumstance, a relationship, that can be an awareness there. All right. So, one more story from the book. What is it that you want me to share here? The greatest thing, and this is like towards the end of the book, the greatest thing I feel was, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to say, yeah, me too, with this, is that I always had fear of love. I had fear connected to love. And in the book, I talk about why and what happened to me that, within relationships, I just thought like if I wasn't scared, it wasn't love. Which sounds like ridiculous to say out loud, right? But I'm sure a lot of people are like, oh, if it's not exciting, if it's not like living on the edge, then it can't be love. If I don't have this feeling of like, anxiety, it's not love. It can't be love if it's peaceful or calm. That's boring. No, that's not love. No, that's love. I promise you. Okay. So one of the things that I saw, and so towards the end of the book, I really start opening up about my love, and I start opening up about how I experience love. And I have always had that thing of like, you're too much, you're too sensitive. I always felt like I was not enough. I always felt like I was too emotional. I was told I was too emotional, all of that stuff, all that rhetoric that gets bandied around at people. And what I realized is like, so, and I think you know this one too, Nims, is like so many people, we feel like we need to protect our hearts. We put these barricades or walls around our hearts. And how I saw this, so you have to understand, writing the book, something would come up and then there would be a gift. Something would come up and then there would be a gift, right? It's like work, reward, work, reward. And one of the last rewards I got for writing this book was huge. So this reward was all about the heart and that wall that we put around our heart. And what the transmission was, or what the message coming through was, is you're being silly, because your heart, your physical heart that we see these walls around, is merely the transmitter for your heart energy, right? And so if you're turning your eyes inward at this perceived or unconscious wall or barricade that we place around our hearts through protecting ourselves, through like our past experiences, all the rest of it, if you can dissolve that, break through that, let that go, and see your heart, your physical heart, your heart center, your heart chakra as the transmitter for your heart energy, and your heart energy expands. It's huge. It's what people feel and experience when they come into your field. It's what people feel and experience when they talk to you, when they, are in your presence. And the width of my heart energy, the minute I brought conscious awareness to it, just expanded and keeps expanding every day, right? And so the message that came through with that is, you do not have to or should try to try and protect your heart. Your heart is your protector, okay? And so those that come into my
Wait,
field
that feels
must
really,
pass.
that's really feels really important. Can you say that again? Your heart doesn't need protecting, is what you're saying.
Your
Just feels really
heart,
important.
this is like, yeah, this is going to change things. I hope, well, my only intention is that this changes things. And there is a meditation, and if you go to my website, I've done a meditation on it and everything too. Your heart does not need protecting. Your heart is your protector, right? So this field of your heart energy that is around you, any that come into your field, that come in to experience you, that come in to talk to you, physical form, online, whatever, must pass through your heart energy to get to you, must pass through the gates of your love before they're allowed access to you, right? And then I'm just going to pause there for a second. Okay. So what this does is, all of a sudden, all of this feeling of like closing in and protecting and guarding my heart was just like blown wide open, because all of a sudden I had space within my love, I had space within my heart energy, I had the freedom to be completely expressive me, right? And people were no longer allowed access to me, and this was not something I enforced, believe me. People were no longer allowed access to me unless they'd passed through my love. If my love made them feel uncomfortable, it's not about me. That's about them. That's your work to do. And that's said with love and without anything to prove. And it was like, you want access to me? Pass through my love, right? And I promise you
So
it will
beautiful.
change you. I promise you, you will feel loved. And so others' preconceptions of what love is, oh, Nicole has too much love. God damn right I do.
How can you have too
I've
much
worked
of
really hard to have this much
it?
love. As if I'm not going to
So
set my
beautiful.
storefront out and be like, come into my
100%.
love. Look how big it is.
That's so, and that's so important. Don't make yourself small to keep somebody else happy. Why would you do that? If
No,
somebody
but
else
my love
you
protects me.
it
I
protects
don't have to
you.
protect my love. I don't have to protect my love. No way. I
And
don't
that's
have to
key.
protect my heart. My heart is my protector.
That's key for our listeners is that your heart doesn't need
Mhm.
protecting. Your heart's more so much more powerful than you really you believe. And it's that, if you're changing yourself so that you get the perceived love from somebody else, then stop. I'm sorry, but just stop. Because all the love you need is inside you. And it's just, if you're triggering somebody else by being loved, then as Nicole says, that's not your shit, part of my language, but it's theirs.
No,
So stop playing
it's not.
small.
Yeah.
Wow. Love it.
Yeah. So like think about that in like romantic relationships, right? I am very, very comfortable being loving to a small child, to a romantic interest, to a friend, to a family member. I am all affection and love and everything, right? And so you can think of that as in other people's perceived notions of that is not up to me. It's not to say that my love doesn't have boundaries or doesn't have, qualities to it, or it's not, you can experience my love freely, no problem. But to have access to me, prove yourself that you are comfortable. You can come into my love and experience it and be in it and feel that love. But I want to see action. I want to see unwavering belief in yourself. So for me and like a romantic partner, it is like that energy coming together is a mirror, right? I don't need to do any work on anyone. If you come to me and you love my energy and you want to draw from it, that's different to coming to your energy and matching it, and then the two energies expanding even greater, right? And knowing yourself is knowing the difference between the two. I'm very aware now with love who is coming in to draw on my energy for their own feeling and who is coming in to match my energy to expand,
Wow.
And so, yeah, yeah, yeah. So expansion is what I'm interested in.
Yeah.
You can come and bathe in my love, no problem. But if you're trying to draw it for your own self, that's when the boundaries will come up. Yeah, and I don't put them up. They just happen of their own accord. Listen, I think the more that you come along your spiritual path, the more guides you have come in, the more support, the more love, the more you trust in all of that. There is nothing I need to worry myself about or do because spirit takes care of it.
That's the
You
thing.
know?
That's so beautiful. It's like if you give our guides, the universe around us, the spirit, whatever you want to call it, permission, they can only allow things. And we can almost stop and ask and say, you know what? Please allow only things that are the most loving, high in vibration into my energy. Anything that doesn't, please return to source
Yeah,
with love. And
that's it.
just remember that
Yeah,
anybody is in your vibration. It's a blessing for them.
yeah.
Don't fight to have anybody in your energy because why? And I get
Mm-mm.
we make it sound easy, right? And I get it's a journey.
It is
But
easy. The minute you start saying it's easy, it might be tough to go through it,
yeah, but it
but
is. Uh,
saying it's easy. It's easy. This is easy. What I'm going through right now is easy. Show me the easy, like show me ease and grace with going through what I'm going through.
Beautiful. And before I want to,
Mm.
we love to talk about your book, but before that, I want to take you back to what happened this morning. I'm curious. What did your guys do for you this morning?
Okay, so um, not all the time. I have, little fingers in lots of little pies. I love a little bit of astrology. I have people in my life who are really good at it. That's great. I love a little bit of gene keys. I love a little bit of numerology. So I kind of like, and plus like my own practice is basically working with creator. Um, so this morning I woke up and I was still in lucid state. And last night before I went to sleep, I was having like all of this visuals coming in is probably the easiest way to say it. And sometimes when I have visuals coming in, it's like, more, I want to say organized, where it's like, okay, tomorrow this is what you're doing before I go to sleep, or maybe I'm going to sleep with like setting my intention or what I'm wanting to call in or things like that. So it's very organized. Last night it was more, I want to say psychedelic. It was more just like flowing in images, and I was like, what is all this that's going on? And for whatever reason, the phrase coming through now is like, it was very feline themed. So there was like cat faces and stuff like that. Anyway, so it was a bit kind of out there last night. This morning I woke up. Please know, everybody, I'm completely sober as well. Like there was no alcohol in my system, no drugs or anything like that. This morning I woke up, before my eyes opened, I saw, so I was 46 yesterday, I'm 47 today. So I saw a 4 and a 6 coming together, and that came to 1, right? So this is how it comes in my field of vision. I want to say my eyes are closed. It was like the number 4 and number 6 coming together and then coming to 1, as in numerology. 4 plus 6 is 10. You drop the 0, it comes to 1, right? And that was the year that has been, was singular. Okay, so the number 1 represents self, very much so a year of me. And then that kind of like drifted off my screen and then dropped in the number 4 and 7. Okay, so I'm 47 today. Those two numbers, master number 11, comes down into 2. Okay, and so 2 is partnership, 2 is connection. And they just said, I want to get this right. So I'm closing my eyes to channel what they said.
Do it.
They just for heads up, when they're talking to me, and I say they, I know Nim says the same. When I say they, a lot of the times I'm talking about creator, but there's no he or she for me. It's just they. So it's more in that way rather than group or collective. If it's they in regards to many, I will say my guides. Okay. So they say to me, the past year has been all about you, even though you have wanted it to be about others. The past year has been all about you. This year, my love, everything is changing. This year is your master year. You are now master. And when I saw the 2, I was like, oh, like, this is connection. 2 is connection. 2 is partnership. And it wasn't like just like me and romantic partnership. It was like me and my connection to creator, me and my connection to one daughter, me and my connection to one daughter, me and my connection to my best friend, me and my connection to, all these people that were in my life. And it was like me being the center point of that master, but then like that connection with the relationships that I have in my life.
Wow.
Yeah, and this was all before I opened my eyes, and I had the last thing that showed as soon as I woke up, like as soon as I opened my eyes, was this voice, very excited, say to me, you will never talk badly about yourself ever again. And I'm like, I haven't done that for ages. And they're like, today is the day of celebrating you. Today is the day that we are here for you.
Oh,
And the last thing, and so this energy came into me, like absorbed into my body, which happens a bit. It's not like I lose my, autonomy. This energy came into my body, and the last thing I saw was of that 2 relationship, or like master. So 11, like 1, like 2 masters coming together as 2, was myself and my higher self operating completely
wow.
as myself. So
Mm.
it was like, how do you say it? Like there's no more other than me and my higher self. That is the,
Yeah, it feels like you almost
I don't
became your
know
higher
I
self.
don't know how to verbalize
Yeah.
it.
It's almost like
Nims, how do you
you
verbalize?
become. it's almost like you became your higher self. It's like the two of you merged.
Yes, there we go.
You.
Thank you.
So wow.
So 11 is like a mirror, a one and one is like a mirror of two looking at each other and then coming together. And I'm not saying this is going to happen for everyone once they turn 47. This was just my experience here.
No,
This
but it
could happen for
also everybody has been through a year where has all been about self. How we've all dealt
hmm
with it is individual, right? That's our own journey.
Yeah.
But I'm sure a lot of listeners can relate to this past year being all about self. Whether
hmm
you're through it or not is your own journey. But
Yeah.
it's interesting in Sidra's world, in what I channel through Sidra, two is wisdom.
Yeah.
So it's also, you become your higher self, but it's also now you. It's really interesting. Your book's coming out. It's you sharing your wisdom, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's a
It's
great
closing
segue.
with a chapter too.
Yeah. So great segue. So your book, by the time this episode is out, your book will be released and it'll
Yeah.
be available. So I'd love for you just to talk a bit about your book, how it came about, and where people can find it.
Thank you, Nims. Yeah. So, my book is titled Free, Living Your Life Free Within Consciousness. It's going to be available on Amazon and the audiobook as well. So, wherever you find your audio books, like Audible, and Kindle, use the link to receive the book or to purchase the book. I would love for you to purchase the book, of course. Um, is going to, I'll give it to Nim, so it will be in the show
Oh,
notes
it'll
for
be in the
here
show notes.
too. Yes, this book, I would say, is for anyone who's wanting to make sense of the spiritual journey, anyone who is going through something and wants a tangible, easy way of moving through it. So, say for instance, you're like, okay, I've heard about the concept of the inner child. Great, I have to like go into meditation and meet my inner child. How do I do that? What is the steps? Like, this is what this book is for. If you're wanting to understand what the concept of shadow is, understand how to connect to your guides, it's all of that plus my stories of what happened to me while I was doing that. Where was I? What instigated that healing coming up? So it's like a shortcut to healing, really. It's like, what do you call it when you have like a cheat book? Like
Nice.
scrib notes. Scrib notes, is that what they're called? Yeah,
Yeah,
scrib notes for
giving
healing.
you the little insights
Yeah.
that can accelerate your journey. Let's just say that.
Yeah, and I the only reason why I wrote it is to help one person. So if you are listening to this and you're like, well, I feel good, but actually my friend so and so, this is the book they need, then do it. You will not regret it. Um, I I'm really proud of it, and even final editing, like some chapters, I would get to the end of the chapter and be like, oh fuck yeah. Like, yes, this is going to
You can
help
feel it,
someone.
right? There's a feeling.
This
Yeah,
is
yeah.
fun.
Obvious.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so, like Nims knows how I work, but for everyone at home, I channel write. So a lot of, like, you can read something and just read it as words. But what I say when I say I channel write is that there is an energy and messaging that comes through the words that you may not even be conscious of. So even if you are completely new to spirituality, to consciousness, everything, reading this book will open up and change parts of your energy without you even having to do a thing. So I've done the heavy lifting for everyone.
Take them on
Literally.
for the team. You take them on for the team. I love it. So yes, as Nicole said, I'll include the link in the show notes. I'm
Mm.
excited for the book to
I'm
come
so
out
excited. I'm so excited.
because I did get a message recently. I'd connect with somebody that's going to have um, a book that's going to have an impact. That's the message I got. So there you go. So,
Uh, this is
so
going to have an impact. And then, so in the next upcoming little while as well, I'm now working on a workbook for it. So this is like where you can be reading the book, and the book, I want people to take their time with it. Like you could probably read it in a few days or a week for sure, 100%. But this is the kind of book where I want you to read it, take your time, absorb what just happened, absorb what you just read. Perhaps there's an activity or a meditation prompt that I give you. Like, and the workbook is to open up the teaching side of the book. So yeah, it's like adventure meets I can't believe this happened to her. I can't believe this happened to her. I can't believe this happened to her. Like there's probably about a dozen times in the book that you're like, oh my God, how is she still alive?
Wow.
And I love I've come out of it just knowing and loving myself
So
more than
beautiful.
anything else. So
So beautiful.
yeah,
I'd love for you to
yeah.
talk about also if somebody wants to work with you, what does
Oh
sort of
yeah.
do so people can connect?
Thank you, Nims. Okay, so most people know me as Nicole Loving Earth, so you can search that in just on Google and everything will come up for you. So I have online services, I'm building courses, I'm building it's called the Academy. So eventually, we're in the process of building the Academy of Beginnings for those that are beginning their spiritual path, the Academy of Meditation, the Academy of Energy Healing. So all of this here. So there's all different aspects to online learning for you to self-pace, and a lot of it will be video of me teaching you. Um, we also have the podcast that I do with my good friend James McMillan called The Deep, where we go into all, you know, things spirituality, surfing, consciousness, growing up in Australia. So if you're interested to find out more of my stories that aren't in the book, you can listen to the podcast The Deep. And for working with me directly, I actually feel like this is kind of your last opportunity to work with me live. So in the next 6 months to a year, I feel like this side of my work is going to be closing down as more and more becomes available to a wider range of people. So if you're wanting to work with me, if you're wanting to have a reading with me, if you're wanting to open up your guides or become a student, this is kind of like your last opportunity the next like few months. Like honestly, this is the way I see it. Nims is nodding his head like, yeah, it's true. So my website details I'll put down below,
Yeah,
and you can have a look around my website and book a session or book to become a student with me. And the last thing is like all of my writings, all of my most recent writings are on the Substack app, which is a fabulous tool. If you're a writer or wanting to express yourself or share your art, Substack is fantastic. So you can join as a free subscriber or a paid subscriber there, and you have your inbox with my musings and teachings and things like that coming to you live every week.
love
So
it.
yeah.
I love it. Yeah, I'll
Mm.
include Nicole's details, where to buy the book, the URL, so you can find out. I'd always recommend you working with her. And as she says, you know what? It's there's going to be a time that the only way we can scale is by, kind of using our voice to work with the masses. It just is what it is, right? It's not an ego thing. But
Yeah.
if you have an opportunity to work directly with Nicole right now, I would take it. And just to
What's this
remind,
session with me like, Nims? You've had plenty.
say again.
What's the session with me like, Nims? You've had plenty.
I'm not sure. I'm sure every session is like unique, but it's like if you want guidance on connecting with your guides, feeling the energy and the vibration around you, guidance on your journey. Look, there's no quick fix, right? It's that if you want to build a connection with your guides, if you want to feel the energies around you, if you want to truly go on that journey to heal, you can stay in victim mode as we talked about, and that's up to you. But if you're ready to really kind of go on that deep journey to heal your inner child, to do the healing that you're ready to do, when you're ready to step up and go deep, that's when I'd say book a session with Nicole, because it is, look, this work does require you to go deep. It should come with health warning, right? It doesn't, but it should, right? I mean, I think
Yeah,
about that with the mentorship program. I think
not for the faint of heart, for sure.
it really isn't, right? Because it's everybody wants to. Well, no, that's wrong. Actually, some people just want, tell me what I need to do to be fixed, right? Give me the accelerated path, and you can go on the accelerated path. Don't get me wrong, but it still
Hmm.
requires you to go deep. You still have to go
Yeah,
deep. You can choose the
yeah,
roller coaster. You
and
can choose
everything's with
that.
love.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's going to be like what, and you've said this to me as well, Nims, like when I've been in session with you, it's been like it may not be what you want to hear, but it's what you
yeah,
need to hear. And all
yeah,
of it is always surrounded by so much love. So
100%.
if you're uncomfortable if you're uncomfortable feeling love, like that's a reason to connect.
Yeah.
Because yeah, love is like the greatest thing in the world. Love is the reason for who I am. Love is the reason why we do this. That's it.
And you may
To
not
bring
feel
more
it,
love
and you may not feel it, but the universe does love you. And that's really
Mm,
what we can do is guide you to that love because look, the universe has a role to play too. Universe, guide, source, whatever you want to call it, to help us to
mhm,
expand, to help us to have the human experience. And sometimes that human experience involves pain, but
mm.
doesn't mean it's
On
not with
the
love.
other side is
It
love.
doesn't, yeah, it doesn't mean it's not with love, right? It means that, but you've got to just be open to feeling. And it's just, like I said earlier, it's a lot of the time it's your expectations of how things should look that
Hmm.
stop you from really. And it's like the magic is all around us if we're open to it. But sometimes, I mean,
Yeah.
it's like just a few days before recording this, the Northern Lights are available everywhere. It's like everyone in the UK and London was like, oh God, I can see. And it's like, I went out quite a few times. I was like, I can't see anything. And it's like, a few people like seeing pictures and stuff. And I was like, my answer is always, you know what? Maybe it's because all the light I need is inside me. I'm just,
Hmm.
it's all good because I can see the pictures that
It's
everyone's
giving,
seeing.
you know what? But that, it's funny you say that because it's like the aurora lights and apologies if I don't say it right, but like northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere, these beautiful lights. If you are attracted to that, that's what we see all the time, every
100%.
day,
Just close your eyes and you
right?
just feel energy.
Just close your eyes and you have that energy surrounding you.
Yeah,
So perhaps like how beautiful and brilliant they were this year is because more people's lights are open, more people are
100%.
experiencing this energy,
And I do
right?
feel like so many people are awakening, right? Just a different way of being.
Hmm.
So, and
Yeah.
I am going to ask you for some
It's fun.
time.
Join us.
Yeah, join us. It is a fun journey. It is. I love it. I love it. I feel so blessed getting to do what I do. It's just, I left the corporate world a few months ago, and I just, I'm so glad I did. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, if anybody wants to work with me, I think
Hmm.
you can book an Akashic record reading, mentorship. I love the work that I do. I get to help and guide people to shine their light. I get to help you to understand what's happening inside you and help you to understand how it serves you. So you can reach out to me. My details will be in the show notes too. But Nicole, as we close, I'd love for you. I always ask people give a couple of journal prompts, to guide people to truly find the love that's
Mm.
inside them. So what would be and any final bits of information you have to share?
So, okay, this is a beautiful prompt. Like if you're just, this is for people well, it doesn't matter where you are on your spiritual path. I was going to say this is for people that are just beginning. So the prompts I would give, like, and I do this every morning, right? Where I'm checking in. Okay. So number one is connection to the heart. Okay. So I see consciousness connecting to your heart and this like opening and expanding you. So the journal prompt number one would be, what is my heart feeling today? Right? It can be a simple, simple, simple emotion. What is my heart feeling today? Right? That there, instantly my heart's like, peace. I'm like, all right, I'm not asking you right now. I'm just like giving this as an example, right? But what that does is encourage and start a conversation with your heart. So I'm going to focus on the heart because I talked about heart energy before, and these journal prompts I want to reflect that. So number one, when you're just starting out, what is my heart feeling today? Okay, and that's kind of like a rhetoric or open question. The second, when we go deeper, is heart. Good morning.
I love that. I love that for those for those that are watching on Zoom, you would have just seen Zoom just kind of show some balloons. For those that are listening, there were just some random balloons that showed up on screen. So,
My Zoom always does this. I'll get thumbs up when I've said spirit will give me a thumbs up when I've said something good, or I get balloons or like explosion behind me. Okay, so spirit can come through many ways. The second journal prompt that I have is I want you to open conversation with your heart now. Okay, so it's like, hi heart, and then how are you feeling today, right? That's the first one. The second one is, heart, what is your message for me today? Okay, and so that second message there can be a single word, it can be a sentence. You may need to start conversation if you're wanting to build relationship with your heart. So maybe you feel, oh, my heart didn't say anything, or my heart didn't respond. And so, this is encouraging a relationship. This is an extended version of that second prompt, but it's like, if I'm wanting to start a conversation with my heart, maybe my heart doesn't trust me because I don't trust it. Okay, and so you're wanting to just say, heart, I'm here, I see you, I feel you. What is your message for me today? And the third journal prompt is, heart, how may I serve you today? So if you're wanting to build relationship with your guide, your spirit team, start first with your heart. Okay, and how we build relationship is seeing and checking in how they're feeling today, seeing what their message, what our heart's message for us is, and then how can we serve our heart today? So if I'm asking myself these questions, how's my heart feeling today? She's feeling peaceful. Peace, peace. Okay, what is my message from my heart today? It's just simply, you are doing great and happy birthday. How may I best serve you today? Enjoy, play, have fun, celebrate you. I serve my heart by celebrating myself. So,
I love it. I love it. So, Nicole, what are you going to do today to celebrate your birthday?
okay, so after this, I'm going to go have a surf because it's early morning here in Sydney, in Australia. Having a surf with a girlfriend. I do have a couple of client calls, and then I'll have a surf this afternoon with my youngest daughter Olive, and then my daughters are taking me out for dinner tonight to a ramen place up the road. So ramen's my favorite, and theirs, So yeah, I'm really excited, and even that relationship there with my children is something that I'm celebrating. So you'll
Oh, beautiful.
have to read the
Beautiful.
book to find out more.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't go there, but I do remember, one of the things that Nicole's manifested is a beautiful relationship with her kids, and it lifts my soul, Nicole. So I'm really glad you're celebrating your birthday. I feel so blessed to have you on this podcast recording on your birthday. That feels like a really, really amazing blessing. So thank you. I'm sending so much love and light out to anyone that, you know what, if this episode made a difference, then reach out to us, send us a DM. We always love to get that feedback. I'll make sure I'll include Nicole's social media too on the show notes. So do make sure she always shares. Most days she says a beautiful sunrise. Whenever I look at it, I was like, oh my God, I need to see a sunrise. But it's just over the water and it's always beautiful. So sending love and light out to everybody. And Nicole, I'm going to hand over to you to close us out.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for listening in. Thank you, everyone, for supporting Nims and his beautiful podcast. Thank you, Nims, for giving me this space to share what I'm up to. It's been a little while. And I think sometimes we can feel like we're so deep in our past that we can't see the light. So, for whoever is listening, no matter where you are, I want you just to take a moment as reflection of the past year or years that you've had, and just take a breath and realize that where you are now and how far you've come, and that everything that's coming, the best is yet to come, the biggest loves are yet to come, the most fun you've ever had is yet to come. So take this moment just to breathe in and celebrate you. It's so beautiful.
Wow. Such a beautiful way to end the episode. Nicole, sending you so much love and light. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Love it.